Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're not gonna use anything that we had just said before
Yeah,
this exact
yeah.
moment because I think we owe it to the people to actually address the fact that we had been gone for just about, I don't know, what, it's like 6 months, maybe around
I thought
there.
I thought it was like 7 or 8.
I was
All
gonna
right.
call it 6 and feel pretty good about myself, but let's just say 6, like a half a year, right? I feel
Yeah,
like that's to me enough paternity leave for you before we have to get back to work. I think
you're
is
such a
really,
kind boss. Like
yeah. I mean, completely
you're
unpaid, but I did allow you paternity leave, and
you
you're welcome,
did.
dude. That's
Thank you. It's been amazing. It's been a fun time. So I appreciate that, boss.
no. Don't call me boss. It's weird. All right, we're
All right,
co-hosting a
boss.
podcast. God dang it. All right, we're having fun. All right, and we're glad to be back, obviously. But the movie Propcast is alive and well, and we weren't gonna let a holiday season pass by without having a couple Christmas specials. All right,
Of
we got to.
course.
It's just impossible. All right. So we had to come back. All right. We had to dust off the microphones. You were playing with your camera for about 45 minutes before we
A
kicked
long
this
time.
thing off.
I
It was a
forgot.
while. All right. Had to figure it out. But I'm happy to be back. I'm glad to be back here talking to you and watching movies again. Not that I wasn't already watching movies, but we're talking about them again. Now we're going to be fighting over some more props. And again, the holiday movies, they're something that we're going to keep doing, obviously, for as long as if we stop doing this podcast, we're still going to be like like all these like IPs that you forgot about that come back out of nowhere around the holidays, and they're like, it's a holiday Christmas reunion with Shrek, and you're like, those Shrek movies stopped.
Yeah.
They stopped like 15 years ago. Why are you back?
I
And
really
because of
thought you
money.
were just gonna say we're Mariah Carey.
Yes. Okay. That's obviously, yeah. Mariah Carey just kind of comes. I feel like that's unfair because she does have music outside of this, but now I think she's kind of bought completely into
That's
it.
it. That's
She's
it.
like, this is my season now, and I love that she's doing like social media where it's her just like the day after Halloween,
Yes.
and she's like, it's Christmas, and there's a whole debate there with Thanksgiving, but yeah, I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to see you back in action. How's it feel to be in front of a microphone again, doing a podcast, which no one's really doing anymore?
So I used to stutter before. I might like my tongue might just stop working. Like
There
I
it
might just
is.
shut down. There it is. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
number
you're
one.
doing it right
Can we
now.
get a
That was
counter?
awesome.
Can we get a
No,
counter?
no, we're not. No, we got this. All right, we can get back into it. So we're going into, obviously you click the episode, you know what we're doing. It's the Santa Claus, Tim Allen, 1994. I didn't realize it was that long ago. I mean, the
Mm-mm.
movies that you watch first when you were a kid, obviously you and I are the same age, but when you watch them in the 90s, it just feels like it could have been at any point in the 90s. It doesn't matter
Yes.
when, but yeah, this thing is what, almost 30 years old, right?
We're at 29 right now. Yeah.
It's gonna be 30 years old in like a couple days. But yeah, this is crazy to me that it's already the holiday season, and it's already Christmas time, and we're getting back into this. But there's a couple things about this movie that before we get into actually breaking it down and talking more about it, and then eventually drafting the props, which I will admit, when we do this, we take notes. They're right here. I have some notes. And if you're listening to the podcast, you just watched me or you just heard me put a book in front of my face, but you have no idea what it says or what it looks like. But you can watch these on YouTube. I'll say that now, on our YouTube channel, the Movie Propcast. Like and subscribe if you're there. But yeah, it was weird to be doing this for the first time in like 6 months. And I will say the first like 10, 15 minutes of this movie, I was genuinely concerned, right?
Yes.
I was like,
Yes.
I got nothing, man. I got nothing on this paper. And I'm like, am I just out of practice? Like, what is this? I don't know how you felt going through it, but that's where I was at.
You forgot how to spot a prop.
Yeah, I thought I was missing a whole bunch of stuff. Like at what point were you like, okay, like I guess we know what point, but
Well, no, because I already came into this movie knowing at least two props I wanted, so my notes started with
okay.
props.
So you don't. So if you remember something, you just put it down
I
before
just
you
put
even
it down
see
right
it. See,
away.
I go back in, I wipe the slate clean, and I watch the movie, and it's almost chronological as I'm going down my list. As I see it, I write it, and I'm like, okay. So I know where it's placed in the movie. But yeah, I guess if there are just absolute bangers, you know they're gonna be there.
And it usually it works out well for me, except for Home Alone. And we already go back last year to
Oh,
last Christmas, and you and we both went into Home Alone thinking we knew what Home Alone it was, and it was not the Home Alone we thought it was.
yeah,
That's the
yeah.
only time it bit me in the butt.
Yeah, yeah, we definitely thought that was New York. But
Yes.
the first one was admittedly light on props, but it was a fun episode. You can go back and listen to those. But let's get into the Santa Claus, Santa Claus.
Dude,
Uh,
I didn't realize this title was a double entendre until we got like 15 minutes into the movie, and I was like, "What?"
I okay. So I knew I obviously going into this watch I'd figured that out by then
Mhm.
because we do watch this like every year or every other year it just pops up somewhere. But yeah, I wasn't when I first saw it I was like, "Oh my gosh. That's awesome. That's genius." I didn't
I
even
had
think
no
about it. That's
idea.
the whole shtick of the movie. It's
Yes.
literally the whole point of the logo is that
Yes.
the E is there, but it's not there, but it's kind of just hanging or it's like written in
Yeah.
that it is a clause and not Santa Claus, um,
Yes.
as his
I
name
That
reads.
caught me and my eyes actually got big. I was like, "Oh my," cuz he says it. He was like, "Did you read it?" He's and oh man, it was good. It was
Not
good.
Santa Claus, the Santa,
The
like, so is it
guy,
Santa
yeah,
Claus the guy, Santa Claus the Claus?
claws.
I
Yeah.
think as Bernard says. So going into this movie, there was something that shocked me, and we'll get to that probably a little bit later in the movie. But there was something that shocked me, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this movie anymore. It really kind of like left me unsettled.
Oh wow.
I don't want to.
Okay.
I'm not trying to leave a teaser, but I definitely won't
Yeah.
talk about it yet because I don't want to dive right into that yet because it's so far into the movie
Okay.
that I just feel like anyway. Stay tuned for that, folks. There's a little tease for you. So going into it, you see Charlie get dropped off right out the gate. We don't have to walk through the whole movie, but the beginning I do want to talk about. It's Tim Allen. I already trying to just forget it. Scott Calvin. That's literally the whole point.
Yes.
SC is so Scott has his son Charlie
Yes.
for what I believe is just Christmas Eve, and then
Yeah.
quite possibly the shortest stint on Christmas I've ever seen. His wife Laura, I think, comes up and just shows up at like bright and early, like they just got out of bed, and they're like, "Come on, Charlie, we're getting out of here." I
Yeah.
thought that was kind of weird that they really only had like 12 hours and 8 of it was sleeping.
Yeah.
But the dinner, I guess it kind of explains why he's making that dinner if you really think about when they go the next morning. But what was all that food for? What was he trying to
Yeah,
do there?
I guess impress his son. I don't give him like a giant Christmas feast, I
That was a
suppose.
feast for a dozen, a whole
Yes.
turkey, and I couldn't believe that he was going through all that effort and all that work. After like that's how you want to spend your time with your kid is cooking a bunch of food and baking a
So
bunch of food. I don't know.
well, taking a step back, now that I have a 5-month-old, think back 3 years ago, do movies like this hit the same, or do they hit a little different now that you have a kid? Because now that I have a 5-month-old, I'm watching the movie through Scott Calvin's eyes, and just like the looks of disappointment Charlie gives
Yeah,
being
yeah,
dropped off at his dad's, I was like, "Oh, if my son ever looked at me that
yeah.
way, I would just run into traffic." Like,
It would
that
kill
was
me every
terrible.
time. Yeah, it would
Yeah,
kill me every time. And honestly, we have a toddler right now. She's like 3. She
yeah,
says stuff. Then I'm like, I mean, I know you're lying right now. I know you're mad, but like, come
yeah.
on, bro. You didn't have to say all that. Like,
Yes.
it's like everything cuts a little deeper. But you got to just kind of brush it off. You know, they're kids. They're just all over the place. But yeah, there were some moments there where yes, clinical depression could step in. And shout out to Denny's, by the way. After the
Yes.
dinner goes crazy,
Yes.
they wind up going to Denny's. I didn't even know product placement. That's some product placement from Denny's, and he gives him like a little tagline. He's like, "Denny's, they're always open. It's amazing."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And then they go in there, and then apparently that's like a whole thing where it's single dads
Yep,
and
just
just take
screwing
their
up dinner,
kids.
yeah,
But
after they
why
screw up.
are I don't know. It just
Single
I
dads
still
and that Asian business group.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But I
I
just don't
don't
know why there were so many fathers burning turkeys on Christmas Eve. Who's making turkey
yeah,
on
I
Christmas Eve?
that's not a Christmas Eve dinner in my family.
No,
So,
Christmas Eve, we're trying to just gobble up whatever's around the house so we can get to bed, bro. Like, like what?
yeah.
I'm not trying to have a feast.
So like two things actually happened in the Denny's scene for me. One, I forgot going into this because I haven't seen Tim Allen in anything in obviously 30 years. I forgot he was actually funny. Like
Yeah,
he has like little throwaway side comments throughout the movie that I actually was cracking up at. So Tim Allen, he was actually better than I thought. And number two, I didn't find out until scrolling through it was like TikTok or Facebook recently, but I didn't know that there were hidden elves throughout the movie.
Oh, I didn't. I didn't know
I
that
didn't
either.
either.
Mm.
So, like throughout the entire movie, The Santa Claus, there's elves planted throughout the movie, and you'll only notice if you see their ears. So when they're walking into Denny's, when she takes them into the back room after the Asian business party, there's a little person putting on a jacket, and it was an elf with pointy ears.
Why though? Why
Yeah.
he didn't at
Well,
that
so
point? At that point, he wasn't Santa, or did they just
he
know what was
wasn't.
happening? Was this all planned?
There was just elves throughout the elves are
Hmm.
always everywhere. I mean, I'm how else would Santa's list like the good and bad list? I'm sure they're just like spies everywhere.
Yo, an
So
elf spy movie would kind of go pretty hard, right? I don't
that
know.
would that'd be
That'd
a
be
little
kind of
crazy.
sick.
So yeah, if you rewatch this movie, keep your eyes peeled. I don't know how many elves there are. I stopped paying attention after the first one. I was just happy that I caught one. So yeah.
Yeah. Before we get into speaking, you mentioned Tim Allen. I think he was great in this role. I will say that there were other people before him that were offered the role, and one of which,
Oh.
Bill Murray, offered the role for this movie.
Is this Bill Murray has a reputation for being difficult to work with, right? I can't
I think
remember.
I don't know. I know. I think people like Bill Murray. I thought.
Okay.
I think the other
Okay.
one, the other person that was also nominated for this role is that, and that was Chevy Chase.
That okay, Chevy Chase is I think who I'm thinking of. I think Chevy Chase and Bill Murray got in a fight. Anyway, that's neither
Yeah.
here nor there.
So they were both
But
offered the role for Scott Calvin. Both turned it down. Chase declined due to scheduling conflicts, and Murray did not want to do another holiday themed
I
movie
was
after
gonna say,
doing Scrooged.
I thought it was after his long list of all of his holiday movies.
Yeah,
So,
he's just like, dude, I'm good. Like, you know what I mean? But I do
yeah,
think Bill Murray would have been pretty fun, but
he
it
would have.
just
He
wouldn't
would
have
have
been
been
the
fun.
same. Like, I feel like Tim. Obviously, we say this in hindsight, but I'm sure it would have been just as good, and we still would have been like, this is awesome. But I think Tim Allen has that like little comedic crust where
Yes,
he's like abrasive, but he's like he's never serious, but I don't know. He still can be. I don't. It's a
I
weird balance.
I think his breakdown halfway through the movie into being like the heartwarming dad, like I'd say it doesn't take long for him to genuinely just flip. And I don't think Bill Murray does that the same. Bill Murray is good at ending a movie like with emotion, but I don't know if he could carry like a solid hour and change or an hour with that same kind of emotion. Like Tim Allen just felt like a genuinely good dad through the last half of this movie.
Yeah, yeah. And at the beginning, you can kind of tell like I don't know if again I'm not in this scenario, and I hope to never be. But the single dad life when your kid's over for the weekend or whatever, or like even just the night before Christmas, I'm not putting that kid to bed, bro. We're chilling. Like I'm
Yes.
like, bro, what? He's like trying to rush him to bed. He's like, go to bed, Charlie. I'm like, dude, I'm spending time with my kid. Like, what are you
Yeah,
doing there? I don't know.
I just don't think he knows what to do with his son, which is sad. Like clearly, I
You
they
see
don't
that in
say how
Denny's.
long.
You see that
Yeah,
in Denny's when they're just sitting there, and he's like, so,
yeah.
fun night. Like he's just like, whatever. There's no
Um,
conversation.
before we keep going, there was a note I wanted to get to earlier on. Do you have a favorite Christmas song?
Song? Oh
Yeah,
man. See now,
it's hard. I put you on the spot. There's a lot of them.
not really. I guess Jingle Bell, maybe Jingle Bell Rock. I don't know. Is that? I
Okay.
feel like that might be fun. Just and it's specifically just because of Home Alone. But yeah,
So this movie made me realize. Well, I realized it before because a song that I think is underrated, and I don't know if I would call it my favorite movie or favorite song, but "Carol of the Bells" gets me hype. Like early on, he's driving through the streets and "Carol of the Bells" coming on,
yeah.
and I was actually like, it got my I don't know why, but it kind of gets my pulse racing a little
Yeah, that's
bit.
what I'm saying. I feel like that's one that if you're behind the wheel listening to some casual Christmas music and this comes on, you're probably going like 5 to 10 over the speed
Yeah,
limit. Like
Carol of the Bells is
you're
so
like,
good.
whoopsie, whoa, sorry. Like,
And some
yeah,
people remix it to really make it intense. Like it
yeah,
kind of feels like a I feel like it's one of those that who does the light shows? Like I can't remember, like the lighthouse shows.
yeah.
Anyway, it's one
Yeah,
of
I
those.
know who you're talking about. I don't have it either, but I know exactly what
I
you're saying.
lost
But
it.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, you've seen them, you know, on the old internet somewhere. But yeah, like obviously the decoration videos where you see like people. They're early. I
Yes.
feel like everybody's got it now. Like I drove through your neighborhood, and I feel like everybody's got like lights activated by some sort of sound or whatever.
Oh,
But
next year,
uh,
I was just talking to my neighbors about it. Next year might be a little different,
okay, all
but
right.
we'll get into it.
You're by the way, your house is a Christmas wonderland, both
Oh,
inside and
thank you,
outside.
thank you.
If you ever get the chance, anybody listening to this podcast, definitely break into his home and enjoy it during the holiday
No,
season.
so they're gonna be Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yeah,
another callback to last year.
yeah, yeah. They're
Yeah.
gonna be just don't get any like really expensive like toys that are hard to find and put
And
them under
don't
the
bring a
tree.
reindeer in my house. Let's not do that either.
Yes, yeah. All right, let's move on. I want to talk about the moment where there was such a clatter on the roof, right?
A clatter? What's a
A
clatter?
such a clatter, I think is what they call it.
That was so good. That
the
was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
it
kid's
was
like, "Are
such
you sure it's
a
not a ladder?" And like all of a sudden that wound up being a thing. I thought that was pretty funny.
yes.
But I'm thinking in my head, this is, and again, this is like me, like the sci-fi fan of me is always trying to figure out how the hell Santa's getting around the entire planet
Mhm.
in one night. Bro, he was on the roof for like 2
He
minutes.
was up there for a while. He was
What are you
not moving
doing?
fast. The thing is, like, there's gotta be some weird time manipulation. We don't have to
Okay,
get
so
into
there
it.
is Charlie does say like a soft mention of when they're then some, I think it was when the kids were asking him how does he do in one night, but he was talking about like a time continuum or something. There's no way. I know in the
Yeah.
90s no one's explaining this in a scientific way. They're just
No.
not taking the time because they're just like it's Santa, believe.
Yeah.
I would love a movie where they're like Santa Claus can
Dude,
literally stop time and like slow it down
Doyle.
and go through the night. That'd be awesome.
All right, so the people here don't know how well we know each other, but Doyle and I secretly have a guilty pleasure movie that's one of our favorites that not many people like.
Bro, you
That
talking
would
about
that would yeah.
you talking about
Like
that
that
Nickelodeon special clock
that
stoppers?
Nickelodeon special clock stoppers. You know Santa Claus has a clock stoppers watch.
Right. But
100%.
so
And
that's
that's it.
that again, I'm reading way too much into this holiday movie that's for a family, you know what I mean? But I
Yes.
can't stop like the logistics of this. I'm
I
like, dude,
just solved it.
you're okay, yeah, but dude, he's on the roof in human time. We see it, all right?
Yeah.
Like Scott and Charlie have enough time to find their boots, bicker back and forth for a second, tell him to stay inside, call 911. He runs outside, looks up, and then startles him. He falls off the roof. The amount
He
of disrespect for previous Santa in this movie, he gets
it's
no
weird.
love. He just dies.
Previous Santa felt drunk to me. I don't know why. Like that whole thing felt like a man who was drunk, like trying to sneak into his house to surprise his kids. Like that
Yeah.
whole thing felt like I'm not saying that he was. He probably wasn't. It just gave me those vibes of like Santa was not taking this seriously and then got caught off guard.
Yeah. Okay. So I have seen the second and third sequels to these.
Mhm.
There's also a mini series now on Disney Plus called The Santa Clauses, where they come back and there's even more story. There's more lore.
Ooh,
I
okay.
think at some point in those three extras, the two sequels and the miniseries, I think there is a mention or more information about the previous Santa or how that worked with him. I think there was something addressing that, and I don't remember. I vaguely remember something being talked about.
Mhm.
So maybe those other movies. I don't want to talk on behalf of them because I don't remember them as well as I remember this one. So I'm just saying this movie as a standalone before all the sequels came out, Prior Santa got done dirty, bro.
Oh
He
yeah,
just
he
either
did.
that or he was on his last leg and he knew I don't want to do this anymore. I'm throwing
So he
myself,
threw
bro.
I just can't believe they killed Santa. Like
Yeah.
there's so many ways that they could have transitioned the power. Like Santa could have been like, you know what would make you like appreciate your family and
Yeah.
Santa Christmas more, and then like force the powers onto Scott, like to teach him a lesson. And then Scott just at the end is like, you know what, Santa, you're free. I'm gonna do this. But Wizard of Oz him. Like they
He
kill
just
Santa.
disappeared. and then
Yeah.
and then Scott's like, he's naked. He's like out here naked. I was
Yeah.
like, running around naked. No, I thought that really was weird. That whole situation, the way that they did that, but I guess it was the easiest way to just be like, "Old Santa's dead. It's you now." And then they moved on. It was weird when he shows up at the North Pole
Yeah.
and no one's phased.
At all. They're
Like,
like,
is
"Oh,
this
this
a
is
yearly
again."
occasion? Like, you know what I mean? I feel like
It's
if that Santa was Santa for a long period of time,
mhm.
somebody would be like, they're all just smiling. They're like,
Yeah,
maybe they hated him. Maybe they hated prior
maybe.
Santa, and they're like,
They're like,
yes, we got a
who's
new
in charge?
boss.
You are. You are.
Yeah.
Everyone is just like you and kept it moving.
Yeah, they're like, it's you now. Come on, we're gonna do this. They're like, I don't know. I feel like, listen, I don't want to be a cynical person, all right,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna go there. All right, there's a universe where these elves were plotting All right, maybe
I
they knew this
no.
night was the night. We're
I
over.
think
We're overthrowing Santa.
I think the only way to like not make a big deal for like 5-year-olds watching this movie that Santa Claus just died
Is
is
just
for them to just brush it
gloss
off.
over it.
Because
Yeah,
imagine they get to the North Pole
he's
and they're holding a
dead.
can. Yeah, they're holding like a vigil for Santa. Like that's not going
Oh,
over well at all.
that would be okay. That'd be kind of funny though.
They're just letting off lanterns into the
Yeah.
sky.
Oh, anyway, they pour one out for old Santa. Yeah, it's just that was interesting. So yeah, I'm glad we talked about that because that is something that kind of had always bothered me. Even when I was young, I was like, Santa just gone, bro. Like this guy didn't want to be Santa, and it
Yeah.
just got forced on him because he put some boots on and then decided to put the whole outfit on to do the shtick, which he didn't really put up much of a fight.
He didn't. He's still just trying to make Charlie happy, which I think is a testament to him as a dad. Because
Yeah,
any other person would have been like, "No, get inside," blah blah blah. But he felt guilty at that point. Like he must have felt just guilty, and he was like, "Okay, okay, whatever. I'll do this. I'm not going in a stranger's house, even if a reindeer freaking
right.
flies me over there. I'm
Okay,
not
wait a
going
minute
into a
though.
stranger's house.
If I
What?"
start seeing reindeer flying, Ro, I might be a little curious. All
To
right.
break it, okay, I'm sorry. We have two different levels of privilege here. You could break into someone's house.
That's fair. That's
I
fair.
can't, I can't
That's fair.
break into
No.
someone's
Okay.
house.
Listen. Speaking of that, obviously, the first house he goes in,
Yeah.
there's a dog. Their alarm goes off, and if
Yes.
you're watching with the subtitles on,
Yes. A
there's
gunshot. There's a
gunfire.
gunshot.
I was like,
Alyssa was.
wait,
My
there's
wife was like.
bullets flying.
My wife was like, "Why does it say gunshot?" And I
I
was like,
know. I was like,
don't
wait,
know.
this is insane. And then I think he does mention when he's back at the North Pole that he does bring it up again. He's like, there was gunfire at some point. I didn't even realize that. Like, I
Yeah.
just realized that when we're watching these movies for this podcast,
Mhm.
I'm way more attentive trying to figure out what's
Yes.
going on, and that I'm catching these little things where I'm like, damn, this man was getting shot at. That's insane.
Yeah.
But also, I know it was early in his powers, and they do revisit it later in the movie when he's actually full blown Santa. But again, the time continuum thing,
Yeah.
he should not be seen by
No,
anybody unless
not at
he
all.
wants to be seen. Like, you know what I mean?
Children.
Like, he
Yeah.
should literally, he gets arrested at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
just lets it happen. You know, he could have just flashed out of there. Like, he's
Yes.
just like
We have.
super
We have
speed.
to. We have to revisit that in a minute.
Yeah.
But because I have some things to say about that too.
Quick what if, because Marvel What If is actually coming out for the holidays, and I like that. It's gonna be
Yes.
it's Marvel What If season 2,
Yeah.
9 straight days, an episode every day. Kudos to them for not making us wait 1 week to get one of
Yes.
those. But what if Charlie put the suit on? What happens there? Are we gonna
Dude,
have a
it doesn't.
child Santa?
It's a binding contract. There's definitely things in place already. They're not taking a child and
Just
forcing
saying,
him to
if
be Santa
his dad
Claus.
was unwilling to do it, he seemed pretty down. All right, he was like, "Someone's putting this suit on." What if he was just like, "I'll do it myself," and you
So it's
just see
gonna
Santa?
it's gonna turn him into a 4 foot, 200 pound
Yeah, it'd be hilarious.
Danny DeVito's
Full
flying
beard.
around. Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
That would
it's
have been
not
an
happening.
interesting little storyline. I was just curious, just throwing it out there.
Give me your thoughts on Charlie's mom and Neil. Specifically, Charlie's returned to her parent, to his mom and Neil, his mom and his stepdad, and they actually it's even before that. The Scott is upset that Charlie's mom not told him, but essentially let it out that Santa Claus isn't real because
Yeah.
she wants to keep him grounded, quote unquote.
Yeah, I do think that's more Neil kind of having his say. You can tell that there's some internal conflict with Laura, which I found out was her name at the end of the movie when they all of a sudden just called her by her name. I was like, oh, she has
Thanks
a
for
name.
letting me know because I forgot.
Yeah.
So
So there was some internal conflict. You can see where Neil's saying, or you can just see her like looking away and like thinking and going like, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. Like there is a little bit of that. You can tell that she had believed in Santa, and then which later admits that she had been writing him. She did like the
the
notebook. Like I
Notebook.
wrote you every day for a year, every week for a year. Anyway, yeah. So she's obviously a believer, and that again, we're getting towards the end there, but I do think Neil's like he was the one leading the grounding of Charlie, which
I get that, but she was very upset with him because Charlie comes back talking about the North Pole and elves and Santas, and she was like, "So much for keeping him grounded." Like she was very upset with Scott, which was ridiculous for
yeah, I mean,
one.
obviously it's just a kid that believes in Santa. I think you're pretty cool with that. But it is like it almost I think maybe it's less about the issue and more about what happened, because it was like when their last conversation was about
Yes,
Santa, and then
yeah,
when he comes back, Charlie's like, Santa Claus is so real, baby. Like it
it's
was
Santa
like,
Claus
what did you
crazy.
do for that 12 hours? Just like literally just explain to him Santa was real and make up all these stories. Like I could see that,
Actually,
like
I
it's like
didn't think of it
petty
that
child
way.
manipulation. So they're probably
Yes,
like, dude, Scott, what the hell, dude? Like,
I
what are you doing?
I honestly, not forgetting that they only had 12 hours together,
Yeah.
he would have had to sit down with like a PowerPoint slideshow and just break down all the
Yeah.
reasons why Santa Claus is real. I didn't even think of it that
It's
way. That's
yeah, so it's
hilarious.
almost like he did it on purpose. What a dick!
Yeah.
But it's not. I could see there being a little issue there. But believing in Santa shouldn't have been the issue in the first place.
No.
And I think that's the kind of whole part of the movie. Obviously, is about believing, and Scott has to believe in himself that he's even Santa at some point.
Yeah.
Which the time passing in this movie,
Was really, I thought it was good, but continue.
yo, I liked that it was over a year, but
Yeah.
what I don't love is like it never when I was younger, I thought there was so many like I thought the time was placed differently. But like there's moments where things are happening and Scott's like it's only been a week, or you know what I mean? Like he's like I gained 50 pounds in a week, or like you know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah.
like it's only been a week, and then all of a sudden it's Thanksgiving. I'm like, wait,
I
yeah,
didn't realize as a kid that a year passes in this movie. I don't know why
true,
I didn't
true,
realize that it went from Christmas to Christmas. I know because you don't think of those things. You're just watching the movie,
right.
and then like the point where it actually hit me was he goes back to the house of the girl that he met the year prior,
That was
and
cool.
he was like, "Ew, this milk is sour," and she said, you said you're
It's soy
lactose
milk.
intolerant." Yeah,
Yeah,
and I was like, "That's the same girl." Like
yeah,
I've watched this movie a handful of times and never in my life did it actually click till right now that he
yeah.
went to the same house and she remembered. And yeah.
So there were a couple nuances like that I really liked, and there's one now that we're talking about the time jumps and this and trying to figure out where they were on the 1 year timeline from year to year, where it's yeah, the first Christmas to the second Christmas. Let me just get to in this is what made me uncomfortable about this film, and
Wait. Because this sounds like I can I just throw in something small that I want
yes,
to say before
go
we.
ahead before I just
So
absolutely
yes,
destroy
yeah.
everyone's perception of this movie.
Things I liked quickly.
Okay.
Throughout that time jump, the belly prosthesis that was great.
That was
When
really good looking,
that
dude. I
was
was
really
like, yo,
good.
that looks, even he pulls his shirt up even more. And I was like,
Yes,
that's not bad. That looks
yeah.
actually pretty real. That was cool.
Belly prosthesis was good. The him at the doctor and he checks his heart and it's jingle bells.
I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that. That was the first time I had noticed that. I also thought at his job, the
Mhm.
fat shaming going on in
Yes,
1994
a
was
lot.
some next level fat shaming. They were like,
Yes.
bro, get some help. You disgusting pig. Like, I
Yes.
was like,
Yes.
damn, dude.
And then another small thing throughout the movie he's like morphing into Santa and he starts he just intuitively knows everyone's name he passes and whether they're
Yeah,
good or bad. So
yeah, because
he's like
Bernard
looking at
was
a little
like,
kid.
"You'll know," and he's like, "Whatever, dude." And he is
Yeah.
just like getting these
He,
powers. Yeah,
he's just like sees people and then he has that moment with the businesswoman. He was like he said like her name and then nice and she's like,
yeah,
yeah, in your dreams, Santa, or something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. That was funny. I didn't realize. Obviously, it's the '90s. You got to have one of those like cat calls moments. You know, that's
Yes.
that classic. Uh,
You're good to go now.
okay.
You're good.
So I've always loved this movie. I thought. I mean, I think it is to me. It's still just one like that you watch as a kid. Like this is right up there with to me with Jingle All the Way, because it's just like a cool process of like the behind the scenes of Santa, and like, oh, it's a fun little story. You get to see the North Pole, all that fun stuff. One thing I didn't realize is when he comes back, I always knew that it was really sad when they were trying to take Charlie away from Scott.
Yes.
Like that whole
Yes.
process where they're like, and they determine like he is off the rails, that he thinks he's Santa Claus, and like his kid can't be with him. That hurt even more now. Like you said, now that we have kids, I'm watching it again. I'm like, damn, bro, like that. That would suck. And if I've ever in this scenario, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
The
you're
thing
about to say,
is that, like,
yeah,
they don't even talk to Scott. Like, they just have Charlie get analyzed and just take Charlie's word that Scott thinks Scott is Santa. Scott would
yeah,
have denied the whole thing anyway. Yeah, obviously he looks like Santa. He can't help that.
yeah.
If he goes in that room and then shaves and then does the towel thing and his beard
Just
grows
show
back,
them what's going
they're
on.
they're, they're going to be like, "Oh, damn, that's
That's
kind of
also like
crazy."
another thing is like, why did no one, like his ex-wife, who probably knows him better than anyone on the planet,
Yes.
you don't think there's like a little bit of concern of like, dude, you just gained 200 pounds out of
In a
nowhere and you have a
year,
beard, you're gray,
yes.
you're dying. Like, you know what I mean? You're dying. Like, there's something wrong. You don't think that there might be like a little issue there?
Yeah.
But anyway, that's not even, all that aside,
Yes.
that's not what really, really unsettled me. It
Okay, here we
was
go.
not realizing
Mhm.
ever
Yes.
watching this film how long after they take the rights away, he does that, I want to say final goodbye to my son, I want to be alone with him, and they disappear, not
Oh,
realizing
yeah.
how much time had passed. We're talking Thanksgiving to Christmas, the kid is gone from the
That's how
mother.
long it was? I didn't even
Bernard
that
appears Thanksgiving dinner, and he's like, "What? We don't talk. We don't baste." Or you know what I mean? Like he's making comment
yeah.
about the Thanksgiving. That's when Bernard told him that he would be ready to go back to the North Pole. So he comes, gets him. Charlie says he wants to go. They're gone.
A
They
month?
filed a missing persons report for their child.
Yes.
We're talking about Neil and Laura now. This
Yeah.
is where I feel bad for Neil and Laura, where they're kind of pinned to be the bad guys that are ruining Christmas spirit.
Yeah.
Imagine your kids taken from you for a month. You don't
A
hear
month.
anything about him until he calls randomly from the North Pole a couple weeks later, says, "We're up at the North Pole. I love you, Mom. Bye." They don't even get to track him. I would never forgive this guy.
A
He could tell
month?
me he's Jesus Christ and he's risen. And I'd be like, "No, dude, you took my kid from me for a month and said nothing."
Yo, I
That
didn't
right?
even that's
Dude,
being a parent ruins some movies, man.
I thought in my head it was a night. It was a night,
Yeah.
and I'm like, damn, they're really gathering this police force super quick. They got people on the streets. They got wanted posters. They're really
Now it
just
makes
going
sense
all
that he got
out.
arrested. It makes
Dude,
sense.
yes. He abducted his kid for a month, which obviously that's not really what happened. He took his kid to the North Pole, and no one else believed it. Everyone thought it was a lie. But to them, grounded in reality, Laura and Neil thought that this kid had been kidnapped by their father, and they
Yes.
weren't going to see him again.
Yes.
That's crazy to me. I didn't
That's
I didn't put
wild.
that together, but yeah, it did kind of like take me a little away from me. I was like, all right, Scott's kind of a dick. All right, you gotta touch base with them and at least contact them. Like tell your
Yes.
son, call your mom, tell her everything's okay, and just keep update. But for it to go like that, bro, I was like, all right, I don't know if I like that.
The 90s did this weird thing where they took things that were very clearly problematic and shined a light in on them that made it look completely acceptable.
Yeah,
Because watching that movie, I not for one moment was I like whatever. I was like, yeah, he's in the North Pole having fun. I did not for
yeah.
1 second even think of that.
I don't. That was my initial thought because I was like, not my initial thought. Obviously, I've watched this movie a million times, and it wasn't until this last watch, like you said, we have kids now, and I'm thinking like, okay, I'll put myself in the other people's shoes, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I realized the night that he comes back is Christmas. The night that they leave is Thanksgiving, and I was like, that's a month. And then I was like, like I literally was like shooketh. I was like,
Your world
I
just,
was like, wait. I always had thought it was like a night, maybe 2 nights, right?
yeah.
Maybe 2 nights. But he is out delivering toys and he gets caught on Christmas night. He took the kid on Thanksgiving. That's 1 month. That's insane to me. So now I'm like, at the end of the movie, I was furious with the way Laura and Neil were just like, oh, he is Santa. Oh, dude, I'd be like, get the hell out of my house. You could fly your
Yes.
little Christmas North Pole farts out of here. I don't ever touch my kid again.
They weren't nearly upset enough when he was gone. Now that I'm thinking back to the scenes.
Well, we never really saw a lot, but we just saw like her on the phone, like having a little bit of contact, and like she's obviously disappointed when he hangs up, but like there really wasn't a lot of focus on that, and rightfully so, because I'm sure in the writer's room, they're like, guys, how do we cover up a month? Like,
Yeah.
let's just gloss over it.
Montage,
Like,
montage,
yeah,
montage.
that's it. We're in the North Pole. We're having fun. Yay. Parents, devastated. Well, the step parent, but the mom didn't deserve that. I feel like that's
No.
unfair. But they also their reaction when they came back should have been completely different. If this was like a drama, bro, he might have got shot on sight. Like it
Yeah.
was, I don't know. That's
A month. That's if
anyway.
I don't see my child for a month, I'm losing my mind.
Yeah, and when you did, you hear your child one phone call saying you're in the North Pole, and you can't. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
At least you know he's okay, or at least still alive. But damn, bro,
Good thing there's
unforgivable.
trackers now. You chipped your child, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, dude. I took
Yeah,
him to the
good.
vet,
All
the
right.
veterinarian, got
Perfect.
the little tag. It's all good. Yeah.
All right, good.
I don't think that's a
Just
real
making
thing,
sure.
but I don't know. I'm sure we're not far off from that in the future, though.
No. Let's not. Let's not. There's people who believe in that. Let's not go there.
Okay, so it's the first time in a long time. It's draft time. We've decided that this is your movie, so let's just get into it. I'm gonna hit this freaking horn. Haven't done this in a while, so let's make sure this is even working. Oh, you have more. You
I have
have
two
more.
things. Two things.
Okay.
Great touch that him touching the snow globe gave him all of his memories back.
Okay. Yeah.
Because
Him looking into it. I guess. Yeah.
Yes,
He did kind
yes,
of be like, oh yeah, nice.
yes. And why did they need a Santa Claus has been arrested squad?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because
They were ready for that.
I didn't write it down, but the Elves squad was like the something liberation of Santa Claus squad.
Yeah.
Like I don't. Why did
Got to
they
be ready,
have?
dude. They've been on the planet for like thousands of years. I think they're
Yeah,
just ready for anything at this point. They're like, dust off the old protocol. Get the suits. We're going out to get Santa.
like
We've always wanted to do this.
that one squadron legitimately was the Santa Claus is in trouble. We have to free him squad.
It was pretty cool though. It was pretty. As a kid, I was like, those elves are badass. All right,
All
and
right.
I
That
didn't
was
say
that
it
was
like
all I
that,
needed.
but I was like, all right, cool. All right, draft time. Woo! I haven't heard that horn in a while. That was kind of loud. My apologies if you're listening with headphones. All right, so we did a die roll to try to figure out die roll one. We only rolled one.
We just talked about this.
I know. I always forget if it's dice or die. A die is more than one. Dice is one. Right?
Roll the die. One die.
One
roll
die.
The dice. Two dice. Two dice. One die.
Okay, so we rolled one. We've given you the rights. Our first one back. You have the first pick rights to this film. What we're gonna do now is all the most iconic props that we saw in this movie, all the cool stuff. We are now going to fantasy draft them as if this is like a fantasy football draft, and we're just going to put these props in our imaginary displays. And at the end, we're just going to try to figure out who's got the better squad. And we always bicker about this, so it's really never up to us. It's just you, the listener, can decide. So you have the first pick. I will have the second. We're going to do 3 apiece. And I think some are going to fall on the cutting room floor that I'm pretty upset about. But right out the gate, first pick, you're up.
If you've been listening for a while, you know that I've got a theme.
Mm-hmm.
I like to ride my props.
Oh,
so
really?
I'm going with the 2.0 sleigh.
Okay, see that was something that I figured. There's a couple things in here where there's an oldie and there's
an oldie. I want that 2.0. I want that sleigh with the built-in hot cocoa machine
and the
you
CD player.
You got the CD player that gives you cookies.
No, not the CD player. The compact disc player.
Compact disc player that gives you cookies. It's got those little glowing things. Because at first I did have the original green sleigh because it had those like nice seats that were made out of. It looked like carpeting fabric.
Yeah.
And I liked that, but then they made the 2.0 and I was
it looked pretty sweet. The lights on the back are really cool. That guy had like that DeLorean lights. I don't know if that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a good pick. I don't know if I would have picked that first overall myself.
That's fine.
But it was on there. It was in the realm. All right. It was definitely pickable for me. That being said, I can't.
Do we snake? Does it go 1, 2, 2, 1? I forgot.
That's a good question.
I think we did snake. I think we went 1, 2, 2, 1.
Huh? Do we though? Yeah, that's
no,
different. I don't know.
It feels weird. It feels weird doing that, right? Did we just go back and forth?
I think we just went back and forth. We definitely. All right,
let's go back and forth.
Yeah, let's do back and forth. I feel like that's the best way to do it. I think we tried snake the first episode and we were like, I don't like it. It's weird.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So you take the sleigh. I will take. And this is what I would have taken first overall. It's a no doubt. It's literally throughout the entire movie. like you said, there was a moment before we started this draft where
Mhm.
he's looking into it. He sees it. It's
Yeah.
Charlie's like sole possession. I do think that globe transcends this movie. I think it winds up in other films as well.
Mhm.
Um, I got to take the snow globe
That's
given to
that
Charlie from
is
Bernard. The
a
snow globe
very,
is pretty good.
very good one. So are you taking the snow globe at the beginning of the movie or the snow globe at the end of the movie? Because don't they add a house at the end of the movie?
What do you mean? No, it
I'm,
is the snow globe, the magic snow globe. I mean,
no,
it's.
I doesn't. Isn't there at the beginning? Isn't it kind of like an empty snow globe, and at the end there's like a house in the snow
I think
globe?
when they look into it, it just shows other. It just shows whatever it wants to show. I don't think. I think it's still just that same
Okay.
the same structure. It's the one given to Bernard. It's like you just look into it and you see what you need to see at that time. I don't think it's like a. I don't think
No,
it was like a
I
set.
got you.
Yeah.
No, I for some reason I this could be me. I might just be
I think there in the
misremembering as a
beginning of the
child.
movie because I was looking for props. There was like a snow globe at the house,
No,
but it.
I'm we're
Yeah.
talking about the same one, but I'm saying
All
I
right.
thought when Bernard originally gives it to him, it's just trees, and then for some reason in my mind at the end, it's a
You
house
do
and
see
trees.
more at the end, and I think it. I think you do see like the scene where he's like flying in and they like land on a house. But yeah, I think I do think it's kind of like one of those like ambiguous. You
Mhm.
just look into it and you just kind of see what it wants you to see, kind of thing. That's what
Okay.
my interpretation of it was. Um, but yeah, to me, the snow globe is iconic, and I know that there's a lot of other stuff in this film that could just as easily say it's as iconic. But to me, when I think of this film, and but like you said before going into it, I was like, the snow globe is to
Yeah, it's
me.
on the movie poster. Had I known that, I probably would have taken it, but
I mean, there's a lot of movie posters. I'm looking at one right now where it's just Tim Allen in like a just I don't know like a red onesie sleep thing, and he's just looking girthy. There's a lot of weird photo or weird
girthy.
movie posters for this, but yeah, I'm going with the snow globe, and I'm feeling pretty good about that. It's second pick.
No, that was actually for some reason number 3 for me.
So then, what's the number two?
Something that always just stuck out to me in this movie were the hot chocolate mugs, those steel mugs.
Specifically, the mugs. I feel like that
Yeah,
came
they
just.
had because
Oh,
they
you're talking
had
about in the North Pole.
yeah, yeah
Okay.
the because they had like the reindeer names on them. It was like the steel ones,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the
I feel
ones
like
at
they
the
also
end.
they also show up again in the sleigh.
They do, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So yeah.
I want the hot chocolate mugs. I don't know
Okay.
why I like those a lot, so I'm going.
I feel like if it gets too hot though, it's gonna burn. It just seems like metal
What?
is like you know what I mean. I just feel like it's a bad cup to put a hot liquid in. But yeah, I do
Mm.
think those are cool though. I definitely think those are cool. I'm not trying to poo poo it, but I'm just saying. To me, I'm always thought like a metal cup with hot liquid just seems like a recipe for a bad time. But yeah,
How
I'm gonna
hot is your hot chocolate?
bro, it's fire. It's like on fire. No, but I mean,
Yeah.
like you got to make it really hot. But I mean, I guess it depends on what kind of metal we're talking about. You know, how cold was it? You know, was it frosted? Did you? All right, now we're just getting off the rails. I don't think that makes any sense. But okay, so the steel hot cocoa mugs. I will tell you,
Mhm.
I didn't even write these down. Not even on my
Nice.
list, bro.
I'm
Not even on
so
my list.
happy. That's really good.
See now,
Yo,
I don't.
you have so much to pick from.
Yeah, it's
Like
like
we
I'm
talked
drinking from a
about
fire
going
hose
3.
right now.
Yes.
I can't do
We
this.
we talked about going 3 because we thought there weren't that many, and then looking back, there is like I've got like
There's a
6
good
more to
amount.
choose from. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna get my guy. All
Get
right,
your
I'm
guy.
gonna get my guy because I think this is another kind of thing that I kind of lean towards. If you listen to the prior episodes, and this isn't. I'm not doing a cardboard cutout. All right, I've always loved a good cardboard cutout, but a
Can I
non-cardboard
guess?
cutout. Yeah, go for it.
I don't know. I don't want to take your shine. Go for it.
Okay, I feel like you do know where I'm gonna go with this. I want the animatronic Comet. I don't even think he's animatronic. I think he is like
Oh,
puppeted.
you think yeah, yeah,
Comet the
that's good.
reindeer,
Yes.
the only one that ever got a close up the entire
Yeah.
time,
Mhm.
because that's probably the only one that they built
Yes.
to be actually moving, and the other times it's like really poor CGI or it's just kind of standing there still
Mhm.
or stiff. Comet had some sass, bro. He had some facial
He did.
expressions. I want that reindeer, and I want him
I think
now.
they made his mouth a little wet too. Like
Yeah, he
they
was
gave
like,
him like
yeah,
that
his
moist.
nose was all like, yeah, he
Yeah.
was experiencing the elements, but he was a sassy little bee. And
Mhm.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan. So I want that. I'm gonna call it animatronic, but I don't think it. I really think it was like puppeted. Like I
Mhm.
don't think that they would actually build. This isn't Steven Spielberg. Okay, he's not
Yeah.
over here like making animatronics. I think this is actually just a puppet, but I do want it because it can
So
it
this
looks
is
really
more
really
Jim
cool.
Henson then.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
Okay, so
Uh,
animatronic comet, and then now we're at last picks already, dude. This is
yeah,
the conversation after these picks is gonna be probably more exciting
it
than the
is.
picks alone.
So normally we usually tend to go attire, and there was two really good pieces of attire on Tim Allen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's tough, but
Hmm.
naturally,
Hmm.
he had a
What is
bunch of good
natural?
ones.
What is natural to you? You had an
Mm,
idea. It seemed like you were leaning somewhere, and now you're second guessing.
cause he,
Hmm.
I don't want to say what ones he looked good in. So since I'm having a hard time picking between those, I'm gonna take the Elf Squadron outfit
Oh, those are sick with the backpacks.
with the little backpacks.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm gonna
that
take
thing
an
was decked
Elf.
out. The hats look sick. The
Yes,
patches. I'm a big fan of that. That was on
I'm
my
gonna
list
take
for
an
sure.
I'm gonna take an Elf Squadron backpack.
So the well, you get the whole
ELF.
costume. All right, you get the
Yeah.
whole thing. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
It's
I
part of the
appreciate that.
ensemble, but yeah, I think that's a really cool looking outfit. And I like I said, when I was a kid, obviously growing up watching like Power Rangers and stuff, you see somebody flying, you're like, that's a hero. Oh my goodness, they're the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yep.
And they had a little sass too, so I was like, wow,
They were like wrapping people up in ribbon and stuff like that. They had the laser tinsel.
that's
That
crazy to
was
me. That
yeah,
tinsel's
that was
nuts.
ridiculous. Yeah.
That definitely qualifies for the props that you wish you were real
We need to do a
podcast.
spin-off. Oh my god, we need to do a spin-off. Like I that would be so good. Like props that actually had their movie function
That'd be
would be
nuts.
so good.
Tinsel would go crazy in this movie for sure.
Yeah, I would do so much with that.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm not trying to cut you off. Yes, that is
No,
100% awesome. I did put the tinsel on my list, but at the end of the day, it's just tinsel.
it's
I'm
just
like,
tinsel,
this is a
yeah.
tinsel. It looks stupid.
Yeah.
Um, Elf's outfit, pretty good. I see. Now I don't know how to wrap this up, uh, because this is where I'm leaving, and you and I both are leaving. I don't know how you picked your pick so quickly. Um, no one's picked a
Yeah.
Santa's outfit. Like, you know what I mean?
Dude,
Like, we got the
I
Santa's outfit. No one's picked. Oh God, there's so many other cool
there's
things.
so I when we go through the list of things I wish I like in like 5 years where we redo our movies, I'm glad I have notes because I'm probably gonna repick this list.
Yeah,
But
I know
it's
I know where I'm going with this.
okay, let's go.
It's not a Santa's out. It's not the Santa outfit. It's
Okay.
not the dead Santa. It's not the
Yeah.
2.0 Santa outfit. To me, if I want something that I look at and say that's iconic and only in this movie,
Yeah.
it's the flame retardant out
I
the
knew
shiny
yes,
red
the shiny
outfit.
yes, I
And
knew
he's
it.
walking
I
in
knew
it
it.
for a little bit. You see him in
Yes.
it, and it's like they knew when they made that was really freaking cool looking.
Yes.
And it is awesome. It's a shame he doesn't just walk out in that. He
Yes.
does go back to the traditional. It's like a darker color. He's got the microphone in his Santa outfit. That's also a pretty cool one that you could tell
Yeah.
they kind of curled the hat to give him
Yeah.
microphone. But no, I want on a stand. I
That
want the
foil
big.
or
It
not
literally just
foil.
looks like foil. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a red foil, kind of like the wrapping paper that you'd see, like in the
Yes.
holiday season, the bright red, shiny wrapping paper. That looks cool, and when you look at it, you're like, that's from Santa Claus. Like
Yes.
that's definitely in the Santa Claus. So I'm taking that, and it is crazy to me that neither of us took either of the actual Santa Claus suits.
Yes.
But here we are. All right, let me recap real quick. You took Slay 2.0 first pick.
Yep.
I took Snow Globe. I put from Bernard. I mean, it's Bernard to Charlie. It's their Snow Globe, but it's just kind of everybody uses it at some point.
Hmm.
The Steel Cocoa mugs were your second pick. I took animatronic Comet. You took the Elves outfit, and then I just took the flame resistant Santa Claus. I don't even know. Obviously, he was wearing that under the actual suit, the
Yeah,
actual Santa suit. But I really wish he just would have went out like that. That would have been sick.
it would have.
All right, off the list, left off. There's some slapperoony bangers here,
Yes,
which
there
is
are.
what kids are saying on the street. I'm pretty
No, they're
sure
not.
they're not. Okay, yeah.
They're not.
Go ahead. Tell me what you're looking at on your
I
list.
had the night before Christmas book he was reading to Charlie.
Okay, that's not bad.
I had the Santa Claus card, the card he takes off the when he's looking for his credentials.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
So the Santa Claus business card was like very almost
you don't
drafted by
like
me.
piece of papers. You don't
I
like
don't like
pieces
pieces
of
of
paper.
paper, but I do like that. and again, when you're initially seeing it the first time, it's a
Mhm.
different one than when he's got it under the microphone, the magnifying glass, because you don't see
Yeah.
anything on that when he's really initially looking at it, which I think is
Yeah.
hilarious. But the second one where he's holding it under would be pretty cool to just see like all the way around that little
Yeah.
like disclaimer. But yeah,
Yeah.
I was into that though. I was definitely gonna go there.
All right. The Santa suit, either one. The Rose Suchak ladder.
Dude, yeah, I did want that too because it's just a really cool looking gold
they
ladder.
they engraved it. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
and it
did a
had a
good
little
job.
emblem on it that was like branded by the people who make Suchak ladders, which is
Yes.
that's pretty funny.
The North Pole itself, when they get there and it rises up out of the ground. I
If
don't
you'd have taken any of these, I would have picked the North Pole. If you'd have taken anything that I just picked in this draft, the North
Yeah,
Pole was so cool to me even as a
it
kid. Just seeing
was.
this thing come up out of the ground, it looks like this ball, and then the
Yeah.
little like calculator, like the little tiny
Yeah.
like beep beep beep
Yeah.
beep. I was like, yo, they got that going on there, which
Yeah.
always did kind of confuse me because I'm like, why wouldn't you just put that in the sleigh? Like,
Mhm.
why couldn't
Yeah.
Santa just hit the button? Like,
Yeah.
why did somebody else have to come out to do that? That was kind of weird to me, but yeah, whatever. It still looked cool.
The sleigh bed. So Charlie falls asleep in a sleigh bed the first night at the North
Yo, that
Pole.
bed looks so comfortable
That
though.
was
I
so
looked the
big.
pillows, everything looks. Oh
Yes,
man, oh that looked
so
cozy.
big. The Santa Claus pajamas when he wakes up and he has a little
The
SC
SC,
embroidered on his
the
pocket.
silk
Yes,
jammies, those are pretty sweet.
those are really nice. The total tank slides. So when he's
Yeah,
at work
I
and
mean they were just. It looked like what the equivalent nowadays, like just AI art. You know what I mean?
yes,
Like put Santa in a tank, and it's just like generic art, but it
I
was pretty
thought you were
funny
gonna
though.
take those. I thought you were gonna take those because those are like they're like mock-up sketches, and I know you love stuff like
I
that,
do
so
love
I'm
stuff like that,
surprised.
and that's why like it gave me like the small soldiers vibe whenever they're like
Yes,
pitching toys, and I was like,
yes,
oh, that is pretty sweet though. But to me, it wasn't cool enough. Like if it had more in it, it did
mhm,
just it was just artwork. Like it looked like pretty basic artwork. But if there was like I don't know, like if they had like mock-ups of the toy or like an actual like model, I would have been like, all right, that's got to come with me. Santa in a tank
yeah.
is hilarious.
And that was it. That was it.
Okay, so
Oh,
I
oh, oh.
oh, oh
The something not on here. Something that I always remember from this movie for some weird reason. The Niels Oscar Mayer Wiener whistle.
dude, I wrote the weenie whistle down when I saw it. I was like, weenie whistle, dude. I've always wondered like
That's
what is that purpose of that? Like, obviously that
I
was
don't.
before our time, but I was like,
Yes.
the significance of it, and the fact that it just looked like the Oscar Mayer Wiener
Yeah.
mobile, which I
Yes.
feel like kids these days don't even know what's going on with that. It's just such a
No.
weird design. It's a freaking hot dog on wheels, but
Yeah.
it is funny. Like, what was the whistle even used for? Just to make a
Just it was
noise?
just a whistle.
All
That
right.
was toys were simpler back then.
All right, some of the leftovers from my list before we get out of here, I just want to tap into. I did kind of go down the rabbit hole. Santa's sack. We didn't talk about it. The magical floating sack.
I just assumed that that would be lumped in with his suit. I don't
His
know
suit
why.
or the sleigh. I mean, like, I don't know.
Good
That's tough.
point.
I feel like it's
I
got to
would
be its
say
own thing.
yeah, yeah. I figured it would be lumped in with the first version of the suit, but the suit that's like hanging off of him that's like still droopy.
True,
But yeah,
true. That's fair.
it could be its own thing though.
So I wrote down updated fancy Santa outfit. It did kind of get like a stoic, obviously a little upgrade.
Still,
Neil's sweaters,
all of
absolutely
them,
banging.
90s,
The whole
absolutely
movie.
90s.
They were amazing. That whole shtick where it was like every time you saw him, he was wearing like another ugly sweater, and like
Yeah.
there's a moment where like Laura looks at him, or Scott says something about the shirt,
Mm,
and then he looks over like after Scott leaves, and he's like, "Yeah, I guess you were right about the sweater." Like she told him like, "Why are you wearing this, dude? Like, what
yeah.
is this?" I thought that's funny. And then the last one, and this is only because I had one when I was a kid, and when I saw it, I was like, "Dude, that was sick." The little rad board like scooter thing. Do you like
Yeah.
the 3-prong? Like it just
Yeah.
I used to have one of those when I was a kid. I don't understand the purpose of it. I never really got it. Like the standing up like scooter version of it, it was just
Mhm.
so big and clunky, and it was only ever really fun to put it on its middle one and have somebody sit and just push them.
Mhm.
But I just really never understood what they were doing. But I had so much. I remember having so much fun in that stupid thing.
I don't think
That
I ever had one. I think my first scooter was a Razor.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, that's fair. But this thing was so big and so clunky. And yes, Razor scooters changed the game. But before that, you could sit and like sit almost upright and like luge upright. It was the
That's kind of
weirdest. It
cool.
was a weird toy. I don't know who made it, but yeah, it weighed so much for a kid to be dragging that around. It was not conducive to a fun time. But there was a lot of damaged body parts coming off of that thing. But yeah, I saw that. I put it on my list, but I knew I wasn't going to draft it. I just want to talk about it. But that's it. That's it. We have
That's
another holiday special in the books. And there may or may not be another one coming. We're going to try to squeeze another one out here, maybe before the new year. It's like holiday adjacent. There's a debate to be had that
oh
this
well,
is a
don't just
Christmas movie or
spoil
not.
it.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying what the movie is, but I mean, I feel like people might be able to put two and
Now
two
everyone's
together.
gonna know we're gonna do Volcano. That's
Nope,
terrible.
not that one.
Oh,
What?
oh,
What are you talking about? Sorry, man. I don't want to
uh,
spoil that either. You're just saying things out
okay.
loud now.
Oops.
Uh, all right, so we'll come back. Obviously, we are officially back. Our cadence is going to get back up to normal, I think, over time. But we're
Yes.
getting back into the groove. It's a new year. 2024 is going to be awesome, and yeah, we're gonna get back to doing this. We're gonna get back to having some more fun and doing some more movies. I know when we left off, we did another episode with the prop store. You can go back and check that out. Some of the live auction stuff that we got to actually see, not live and in person, but live and got to actually kind of just talk to and learn a little bit more about that
That
got auctioned off.
that might be 2025.
Bro, we're gonna get out there to one of those auctions. I
We're
swear.
gonna one.
I had some. You got to do one to do 50. Okay.
True. You're right.
Yeah, you
You're
got
right.
to get to one to do 50. But we did mention a couple movies that we talked about on there that we have not done episodes for. Those are coming. But we're back for the
One's
holiday season. We're gonna get a couple holiday specials out, and then when the new year starts, we will get back to those episodes that we promised. And yeah, those are gonna be fun. And yeah,
Yep.
who knows what's gonna happen? I think we got to get it. We do have to tap into a couple like newer ones
Mm-hmm.
because I do
Mm-hmm.
want to. There a lot of stuff has come out in 6 months,
A
so
lot. A
yeah, there's
lot.
a lot happened. But we're
Especially this past week, we had Wonka come out.
okay, sure.
Just
I
saying.
guess we could go back and do the original because I just don't know that
You
this is
just
gonna.
said newer ones, and then you just said we're gonna go
Yeah,
back
so
and
I want to do newer
do the
ones, but I don't
oldest
want to
movie
do.
we've done yet.
I don't want to. I want to do newer ones, but I don't want to do second rate.
I heard from someone who was in their 60s
Hmm.
said that this was the best Wonka
Wow.
that they've seen.
All right, we'll see.
Which
I
is,
don't know.
or let me not say the best, but it was everything you would want from a Willy Wonka movie.
Prequel. Yeah.
Like it very much lived up. It
Okay.
was not Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which, to be fair, that followed the book, but it was
And it's a
too.
Tim Burton thing, so it
Yeah,
can be taken in
exactly.
different ways. That's fair.
Yes.
This, I mean, it did honestly, it did look fantastical. Timothy Chalamet is an interesting person for that role. I got to see him in it before I buy into it. I think
Yes.
the preview wasn't enough. I got to see it in the full context. But anyway, that may be coming in 2024. At this, we've talked about it enough. I think we might have to get into it. But anything is
Anything's on the
possible.
table.
Yes, follow along, and I guess we're gonna get out of here now. It's the
We're
holiday
back,
season.
baby.
Merry Christmas. We're so back.
And I think I got sentimental last time. I can't remember, but I love you guys. Thanks for
Wow, you just
listening.
said it.
And
You said it like
yeah,
you didn't even
because
skirt around it. Like I'd be like,
dude,
"Love you,
I love
babe.
you. Yeah, like whisper it the last
Love you."
no. No, just thanks for the continued support. Like it's
Yes.
awesome
If you're
to get
listening
to
to
do
this,
this.
we're happy. We're happy to be back, and we're happy you're still here with us. So we will be throwing some more stuff at your earlobes, specifically because I
The
think that's where
lobes?
just the
No,
lobes.
no,
That is where
no. The
most people
cartilage,
statistically
no.
listen is the
People can
lobe.
live. No, please. You aim
Okay.
it up a little higher.
That's on them, bro, if they can't find out. But just start with the lobe, get it close enough to the ear, you'll hear us, and we'll catch you guys next time. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.